Have you ever been so lost that the world itself seems to forget you? In the silent voids between cities, where phone signals die and maps go blank, there are places that remember a different truth. This is the story of the Adansi Stretch, a highway known for swallowing the lonely and the desperate. And of a man named Oliver Henry, who learned the darkest secret of being lost. Sometimes, a new road appears just for you. Smooth, inviting, and perfect. But this road isn't on any map because it is made of memory and remorse. It is paved directly over a sacred, screaming past. It only opens its gates at the witching hour. And it doesn't lead you home. It leads you to where home has been waiting, in silent, smiling torment, for a very, very long time. Oliver Henry was a man haunted by an empty passenger seat. A long-haul logistics driver, his world was a curated landscape of diesel fumes, worn leather, and the eternal hum of tires on tarmac. His life was a series of departures and arrivals that meant nothing, because the one arrival that mattered never happened. His fiancée, Adwoa, had vanished 1 year, 3 months, and 14 days ago on the Adansi Stretch, during a late-night bus journey to visit him. The police found nothing. No skid marks, no broken glass, no signs of struggle. The bus company cited a possible voluntary disembarkation. The case grew cold, a file in a drawer. But Oliver's love did not grow cold. It mutated. His flaw was not just love, but a quiet, all-consuming obsession, wrapped in the practical guise of a searching man. He spent every off day, every spare dollar, driving the Adansi Stretch. He interviewed toll attendants, roadside hawkers, and hermits living in the scrubland. He had maps of the area plastered on his apartment wall, crisscrossed with lines and question marks. He was a cartographer of a mystery that was erasing him, day by lonely day. His older brother, Kwame, a soft-spoken professor of African oral history, saw the decay. "Oliver, you are digging a grave in the air," Kwame said one evening, pointing at the frantic maps. "That land, its history is a wound sewn shut with asphalt. Centuries ago, a sovereign known as the Silent King ordered a purge. An entire guild of royal artisans, storytellers, sculptors, historians, people who remembered too much, were executed. Their bodies were buried in a communal tomb, and a wide, straight path was built directly over it, so every future footstep would be a desecration and an erasure. That path is the foundation of the modern Adansi Stretch. You are not just looking for Adwoa. You are knocking on a sealed tomb." But Oliver, his eyes shadowed from lack of sleep, just shook his head. "I'm looking for a woman, not a ghost story, Kwame. She's out there. I can feel it." The breaking point came after a disastrous shift. His dispatcher, tired of his distractedness, threatened to let him go. Overwhelmed, Oliver got into his car and drove aimlessly, inevitably finding himself once more on the familiar, taunting stretch of highway. A fierce, unforecast storm erupted, turning the night into a roaring, black cascade. Rain lashed the windshield like thrown stones. A landslide, swift and sudden, blocked the main road ahead. Detour signs were vague, pointing down muddy, unpaved tracks his sedan couldn't handle. Panic, cold and slick, rose in his throat. His fuel light glowed a malevolent orange. The clock on his dashboard read 11:55 p.m. He was stranded, truly lost, in the place that had taken everything. And then, as his headlights swung wildly in the storm, they caught it. To his right, where a dense thicket of thorn trees and a collapsed stone wall had always been, the rain parted. It revealed a smooth, obsidian-black ribbon of pristine asphalt. A road. A new road, with laser-straight, glowing white lane markers that seemed to drink the rain, leaving its surface perfectly dry. It hadn't been on his GPS. It hadn't been there an hour ago. At its entrance stood a sleek, modern highway sign, illuminated from within. It read, Nkondi Bypass. All travelers welcome. Shortest path. Logic and Kwame's warnings screamed in his head. But the orange fuel light was a louder, more urgent scream. This was a solution. A clean, dry, perfect path out of the chaos. With a shuddering breath that was part prayer, part surrender, Oliver Henry turned the steering wheel and guided his car onto the midnight road. The change was instantaneous and absolute. The roar of the storm vanished, replaced by a silence so deep it pressed against Oliver's eardrums. The sound of his tires was muffled, a soft, rhythmic shush as if driving on packed felt. The air inside the car lost its damp chill, becoming a static, temperatureless void. His headlights, usually piercing, seemed feeble, their beams reaching only 20 feet ahead before being swallowed by a wall of pure, velvet darkness. There was no sky above, no landscape beside, just this infinite corridor of road. He drove, but the odometer didn't budge. The clock remained frozen at 12 a.m. Time had been suspended. After an eternity of 5 minutes, or was it an hour, a soft, hazy glow emerged in the distance. Not the clinical white of modern LEDs, but the warm, honeyed amber of old sodium vapor lamps. The road descended gently into a valley that geography denied. And there, nestled within it, was a town. Not a ruin. Not a shadow. A perfect, picturesque, and utterly silent town. Its buildings were a charming mix of colonial-era facades and mid-century modern designs, all immaculately maintained. Clean, inviting shops. A petrol station with vintage pumps. A hotel with a neon vacancy sign buzzing softly. It was a postcard from a forgotten, peaceful era. And parked in the central square was a cream and green bus, its design straight from the 1960s, the very model Adwoa had taken. The town sign, wrought in ornate iron, declared, Nkondi, rest and be refreshed. Oliver's blood was ice, but his heart was a furnace of hope. He parked on the silent main street and stepped out. The air was still, scentless. He called out, "Hello? Is anyone here?" His voice didn't echo. It was absorbed by the quiet. Then, a soft, metallic click. The door to a diner with the name, the Crossroads Cafe, swung open, revealing a warm, inviting interior. Inside, it was a slice of Americana fused with a Ghanaian chop bar. Red vinyl booths. A jukebox in the corner. It smelled of fresh ground coffee and fried plantain. A man stood behind the counter, his back turned, polishing a glass with a white cloth. He wore a crisp, white shirt and a paper cap. "Hello?" Oliver said again, his voice trembling. The man turned slowly. He had a pleasant, open face. And a smile. A wide, unwavering, perfectly friendly smile. But his eyes. They were like polished river stones, reflecting the light but holding nothing behind them. "Welcome, traveler," the man said, his voice smooth as radio static. The road provides. What does the traveler require? I'm looking for someone. A woman. Adwoa. She was lost. The smile didn't flicker. All who are lost are found in Nkondi. The Sunset Hotel holds the register of guests. You may inquire there. Oliver ran. The hotel lobby was empty, grand, and dusty in a way that looked staged. The large, leather-bound register on the mahogany desk felt cold. His hands shook as he flipped through pages filled with elegant, looping script. Names. Dates stretching back to the 1950s. His breath hitched. There, on a page dated over a year ago, he found it, Adwoa Achempong. Room 207. Paid in full. He snatched the heavy brass key from its hook. The staircase creaked with a sound too loud in the silence. Room 207 was unlocked. It was a museum diorama of his loss. Her small floral suitcase lay open on the stand, clothes neatly folded. The novel she'd been reading, a dog-eared copy of Things Fall Apart, lay splayed on the nightstand. A lipstick sat next to the sink. A faint scent of her perfume, Chanel No. 5, hung in the air. It was as if she had just stepped into the bathroom. Adwoa, he whispered, hope and horror warring in his chest. The bathroom door was slightly ajar, light spilling out. He pushed it open. The room was empty. Spotless. But the mirror above the sink was fogged, as if from a recent hot shower. And traced in the condensation was a single, desperate word, Oliver. Not run. His own name. A plea. A connection. A wave of dizzying disorientation hit him. This wasn't just a prison, it was a collector's display. He stumbled back into the bedroom, and his eyes fell on the room's window. It looked out onto the quiet square. But the view was wrong. The cream and green bus was gone. In its place was his own car, parked exactly where he'd left it, but it looked faded, older, as if it had been sitting there for decades. He fled the room, clattering down the stairs. When he burst onto the street, the town was no longer empty. They stood in doorways, under lampposts, on porches. Dozens of them. A woman in a vibrant 1970s Kent print dress. A man in a 1980s football jersey. A boy holding a toy car from the 1990s. All dressed in the fashions of their era of disappearance. All wearing the same benign, empty smile as the diner attendant. They didn't move. They just watched him, their heads turning in unison as he ran. The diner attendant was now in the center of the road, blocking his path to the car. Why leave? The man asked, and now his voice seemed to come from all of them, a soft chorus. Nkondi is peace. Nkondi is quiet. Your memory is a beautiful thing. Let us keep it safe. Stay. Become part of the peace. Oliver did the only thing he could. He charged, shouldering past the figure, which felt unsettlingly solid yet light, like a mannequin filled with sand. He threw himself into his car, the keys already in his hand. As he started the engine, he looked in the rearview mirror. The smiling people were not chasing. They were waving. A slow, friendly, farewell wave. He slammed the car into gear and sped back up the impossibly black road. But now, in the periphery of his headlights, he saw them. Pale, skeletal hands clawing weakly at the edges of the asphalt, trying to pull emaciated bodies up from the dirt below. The road was a lid on a mass grave, and the buried were trying to get in, not out. They wanted the false peace of the town above. He drove in a blind panic until he saw the familiar, washed-out mud of the real-world detour. He wrenched the wheel, his car bouncing violently onto the rough earth. He skidded to a halt and looked back. The midnight road was gone. Only the storm-lashed thicket and the collapsed wall remained. His dashboard clock jerked to life, 12:03 a.m. He had escaped. But he had seen her room. He had seen his name. She was there. In the ghost town that only exists for the lost. Kwame found Oliver on his doorstep at dawn, soaked, shivering, and babbling about smiling people and a town called Nkondi. This time, Kwame didn't offer comfort. He offered grim validation. He spread his research materials. Colonial land deeds, translated oral testimonies from elders, archaeological surveys that had been quietly buried. Nkondi, Kwame said, pointing to a hand-drawn map. The name doesn't just mean a vessel. In the old dialect, it means the container for that which must not be heard. The Silent King didn't just kill the artisans. He sought to erase their art, their knowledge, their very cultural memory. The road was the final act of silencing. But memory has a gravity. It pulled their essence, their ntoro, into a kind of loop. At midnight, when the veil is thinnest, the road doesn't show the grave. It projects the idea of what was destroyed, a perfect, empty town. And it seeks to fill that emptiness with new memories, new lives, to replace what was stolen. It's collecting people, Oliver whispered, understanding dawning with horrific clarity. To make its own ghost town real again. Exactly, Kwame nodded. It doesn't kill. It preserves. It archives people in the moment of their loss, fossilizes them. Adwoa isn't dead. She's curated. Oliver's obsession now had a target, not just a location. He couldn't just rescue Adwoa. He had to break the cycle. The answer, Kwame theorized, was not in force, but in restitution. The road is a scar of injustice. You must apologize to the wound. You must give back what was taken. Not a person. The truth. They devised a plan. Oliver would go back, but not as a thief in the night. He would go as a witness. On the next moonless night, they returned together to the spot. Oliver carried a powerful flashlight, a voice recorder, and Kwame's most precious artifact, a first-edition book containing the transcribed oral histories of the region, including the band's stories of the artisans. At 11:58 p.m., they stood before the thicket. The air grew preternaturally still. At 11:59, a faint shimmer, like heat haze on tarmac, distorted the night. And then, silently, the midnight road manifested. It was even more vivid this time, more expectant. Oliver looked at Kwame, who gave a solemn nod. Oliver did not get in the car. He walked to the very center of the road's entrance, where the asphalt met the real world. He knelt on the cold, unreal surface. He turned on the voice recorder and held it aloft. Then, he opened the book. His voice, amplified by the profound silence, rang out shaky at first, then growing stronger. He did not read dry history. He spoke the names. He described their crafts. I speak for Kofi the potter, who shaped clay to catch the whispers of the rain. I speak for Alma the weaver, who threaded the stories of ancestors into cloth that could heal. I speak for Ya the historian, who remembered the true names of the rivers. As he spoke, the road beneath him began to change. The black asphalt softened, becoming translucent, like obsidian glass. Through it, Oliver could see a swirling, spectral vision. Not of the fake town, but of the true, vibrant village of Nkondi as it was, full of life, artistry, and soundless clamor. The angry, grieving spirits of the artisans gathered below him, looking up, their faces etched with centuries of sorrow and betrayal. He finished the last tribute. He looked down at the sea of spirit faces. Your truth was buried, but it is not forgotten. I bear witness, he cried. Then, he made his plea. I return your stories. I ask for one of mine. Return Adwoa Achempong. She is not part of this silence. Her story is still being written. For a long, terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then, the spirits below, as one, turned their gaze away from Oliver, towards the false town at the road's end. They raised their hands and pointed. In the distant, glowing square of fake Nkondi, the door of the vintage bus opened. Adwoa stepped out. She walked down the center of the midnight road, her steps slow and confused. With each step she took towards the real world, the road behind her crumbled into wisps of cold mist. The smiling watchers lining the streets of the town flickered and dissolved like projections on smoke. The entire false reality was unraveling from the point of her escape. She reached Oliver just as the last few yards of asphalt vanished from beneath her feet. He caught her as she stumbled onto the solid, wet earth of the real world. She was real. She was warm. She was breathing. She looked at him, her eyes wide with disorientation. Oliver? I was on the bus. I fell asleep. I had the strangest dream, of a quiet town, and a room where I waited for you. The clock on his abandoned car, still parked nearby, read 12:04 a.m. Adwoa was home, but part of her remained in the quiet. She was prone to long silences, to staring at old photographs as if trying to remember a dream within a dream. Oliver quit his long-haul job. He and Kwame published the Book of Names and Stories, creating a living, legal monument to the erased artisans of Nkondi. But the Midnight Road? It still appears. True justice for such a deep wound is a process, not an event. The scar on the land still aches at midnight. It still offers its shortcut to the desperate, the lonely, the out of fuel and out of options. Some, without a book of truths or a love worth kneeling on a ghost road for, still take it. Their names, in elegant, looping script, continue to appear in the register of the Sunset Hotel. The moral is as solid as the asphalt over a mass grave. Progress that is built upon silenced cries does not move forward. It moves in a circle, a perfect, haunted loop that must endlessly seek to fill its own emptiness with the living. The most dangerous shortcut is always the one that offers to forget your troubles, for it leads to a place where all memory, including your own, becomes a museum exhibit. But what do you think? Did Oliver's act of witness truly begin to heal the land, or did he merely negotiate a personal pardon from a system of eternal hunger? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to Safari of Tales and hit the bell icon. The night is long, and many roads are hidden. Until next time, drive carefully, and remember what you might be driving over.